aren't carburetors fun? There we go. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to our channel. Hey, if you're new here, please click that like, that subscribe, and don't forget to bang that bell notification. This way you get notified every time I upload a video. Well, what's today's video all about? It's all about carburation. That's right. We have an 04 Sportster. Now, I don't get to work on these things all that much. So I'm kind of excited to be working on an 04 Sportster. So here's a story of a lovely motorcycle. He was owner of this bike, just bought the bike. It's an 04, it's only got 300 miles on it. Pretty cool. He bought it for his wife so she could start riding. But way things are, he's got to keep choke pulled out to keep the bike running. It backfires and spits on him, so we need to take apart and clean out the carburetor. That's right. We're going to take the carb off, we're going to clean it up and get it going so he could give it to his wife so she could ride it. So it's a beautiful little 883. It's in perfect condition. So we got to remove these two screws, and there's some screws. We got to take all this off. But the first step you want to do when you do a project like this is turn your fuel off. And let me show you how that's done. It's really hard and technical, guys. You take your fuel selector on the bottom of your tank from on to off. That's it. See how hard that was? Then the next thing you want to do, which I've already done, was remove all the slack out of the cable. And these are 2 3/8 wrenches. And you want to loosen the GM nut and collapse these down. That's so you could take the throttle cables off of your carburetor. So let me get the air cleaner off, and then we'll talk about and show you how to get that carburetor off. Okay guys, I got the air cleaner assembly off. It's real simple. There's two 3/16 screws that hold the outside of the cover on. Inside of that you'll find 3 T27 screws that hold the air filter to the air filter backing support plate, and they go right in here. Then there's 2 9/16 nuts or bolts, breather bolts, banjo bolts that come out, and then that whole thing comes off. So we're almost ready to remove this carburetor, but what do we need to do? We need to disconnect the choke cable from the body of the motorcycle. I'll show you how that's done. Okay, you come around to the other side of the motorcycle, and here's your choke cable, right? You want to loosen up the drag nut right here. Let me show you that. Right here, all right? This will increase or decrease the drag on the cable. So if your cable has a hard time staying out, just tighten this up a little bit, and that'll help that stay out even further. But behind here, there's a nut. And I get back there with these fancy nut holding needle nose pliers, and I just unthread it. So, still got to do it some more. And then once it gets to the point where it's nice and loose, it will literally drop right out. I could get in there with a wrench, but I found this to be the easiest way to do it. There it is. See how it dropped right out? It's only a U-shape that holds it in. This will pull through when we take the carburetor off. Okay, now we got that disconnected. We're going to go onto the fuel line, which is right here. And that's only, I'm lucky enough, that's a worm clamp. Usually Harley will have one of those pinch connectors on there. So what you want to do is get on this. It's simple. Take my ratcheting screwdriver, and I'm just going to loosen this up as much, but not without, you know, it coming all the way out. So that's nice and loose. Pick this up out of the way. The same fancy pliers that I had before. These are nice on hoses because you just grab the hose and you pick up with it without destroying the hose. So let me get this off. Fuel hose is disconnected. We're going to tuck that up out of the way. I'm going to grab your carburetor and you're going to just wheel it out. As it sits in there with a cone. Little rubber cone that's in there. We're going to replace that rubber seal actually. Oop, there it is. It just pops off. Now we got this here. This here is the overflow drain. And then on this, well, let's pull this out, which would be the choke. You might have to feed it through the other side, which I think I do. Let me get that done. Okay, the choke cable has been freed from the motorcycle. Free! Use free! Now we work on our cables. What I like to do is open up the cable and then, oh, these are a little tight. They shouldn't be, but they are. So let me work on this. These are giving me a hard time. Okay guys, what I did was I opened up the throttle cable and I pulled on the pull cable, not the return. All right, so when I open up the throttle, this one is your pull, this one is your return. And how can you tell? Well, when you remove it, there's a little spring in there. And last but not least, to disconnect, and you always got to be careful not to break this, it's a little vacuum connection to your carburetor. You don't want to forget this, putting it back together, or the bike will not run properly. And there it is. And our carburetor is removed. So now we're going to take it apart and work on it. All right guys, this is going to get messy. I always put down a piece of cardboard when I work on a carburetor because the floats are full of fuel. So you definitely want to have something to catch whatever fuel is in there, help keep it clean and neat. So right here in the bottom, as you see, more fuel is coming out. We're going to remove these 4 screws, which will take the float off with the accelerator pump. You got to be careful when doing these so they don't round out. Sometimes the kits come with new screws, sometimes they don't. So it's always good to have a good quality Phillips screwdriver for this. Boom, there it is. Okay, your accelerator pump. Let me show that to you right here. Gets activated by this arm. So when this here, and it just came out. Let me get it back in. Okay, so when this gets activated, it pushes down into a diaphragm inside of here, which opens up the valving, allows more fuel to go through the carburetor, and accelerates what you have. Like it says, it's an accelerator pump. Now, looking at this, it's got some, let me take that off now. There we go. Looking at it, there is some corrosion on there that we're going to clean up with just a paper towel, because anything rougher will promote more corrosion. Again, this bike has only got 300 miles, and it's a 2004. It's a 20-year-old motorcycle, 300 miles on it. So I'm going to definitely recommend he does tires on this, because I'm guarantee you these are brand new tires 20 years ago. Sometimes the kits come with a new accelerator pump and I don't see it, but the kits that I got is from Gaskets, and it's not bad. They were $61.99 plus tax, depending on the state you're in, with sales tax and everything like that. How does carburetors work? Your bowl is connected to your carburetor, and as fuel comes in, the float's going to come up and stop the fuel flow, and as you're running, it's going to drop down, allow more fuel in the bowl, then close, and up and down, just like that. It's that simple. Fuel then gets put into your main jet, your idle jet, and I forget, not that's your, yeah, that's your idle jet, and I forget what that one is. And then it sends it up into the Venturi's effect, atomizes the fuel, air fuel mixture comes out of here, goes into your intake manifold, and then to your head. That's basically it. That's basically how a carburetor works. All right, so I got to get some carb cleaner and start cleaning this stuff up, and we'll reassemble it together. Okay, now that I did some oral hygiene in here, I take an old toothbrush that I have, and I use that to scrub the inside of the bowl. It's soft. Get yourself some carb and throttle body cleaner, and I spray it in all of the ports or the jets to make sure they're clear. For instance, like I will spray it right in here, and you'll see it come up over here. This is just the overflow. That's it. Just to make sure that nothing is clogged. I did that to the 3 main jets here, or the 3 jets, and they come out on this side, these 2, your idle jet and your and of course your high-speed jet. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to remove the float, and usually you need a pair of needle nose to get this out, but we're going to try it without. Hey, what do you know? So you pull this pin out, set it aside, don't lose it, and then you pull out your needle. Be careful not to bend this tab, because if you do, then you got to go through and set the float and all that. Looking at the needle, it's okay. It's got a little ridge in it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little ridge there. So I'm going to replace it. It's a good thing that they give you a new one. So we're definitely going to change that, and they give you a new spring to go with it. So let's open up this package, and we'll get that out. So here's the new needle. You look at there's no ridge in it, so that's good. So how does this go on? This just snaps on, just like that. And then this will go onto the float after I clean the float. But what we're going to do is we're going to spray in here and see if we get any that carb cleaner out of there. And we do. So we know that's clear and clean. So that's a good thing. You know, so far this carburetor has been coming along beautifully, looking at everything, but now it's time to clean up. And I'm just cleaning up all the old gas, the corrosion, well, not corrosion, but the calcification of fuel that sat in this thing for 20 years basically. Long time. Long time. I just want to clean all this up. Again, being careful not to bend that, so I don't have to worry about resetting the float height. Carburetors are fun, aren't they? That's why I went with the carburetor for the chopper build. Oh, I just lost that. Oh, there it is. That clip just came off, so we're going to put it right back on. Oh, okay. So let's see, can we close this up a little, make it tighter? Okay, I got it back on there, and it's staying. That's important. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put it into our carburetor. Just something like that. There we go. Now we're going to take our pin and run it in. But here's the old one. You could tell because it has that ring around it. So I'm going to put that with the old garbage. Now, with that being done, I want to put my accelerator pump pin back on. Fun. Okay, that's back on. Now we're going to take our new gasket, nice new O-ring. We're going to place it over our throttle body where it needs to go. And what I like to do, because if I turn this upside down, it's going to fall out, is when I put this on, I put the carburetor on just like this. And first we want to line up that accelerator pump. Just like that. Get it all seated so the carburetor's together. Now I move it upside down, and then we'll put our screws in. Then after this part, we'll work on the accelerator pump. Isn't that exciting? I know, someone's going to say I'm doing it wrong, or I should have done the accelerator pump with the bowl off. There's always more than one way to skin a cat. But these are just my techniques. So I'm going to point something out to you guys, that if you have a carbureted bike and it's idling a little high, I'll show you where you can make those adjustments. But you got to be careful because you can overdo it. One of the adjustments you could make is right here, and this will tell the carburetor where this needs to sit for idle, number one. Number two is right here. It's your idle air mixture screw. Basically, what you want to do is run it all the way in, back it out, turn it in half, let the bike warm up. Bike warms up, then you're going to adjust it till it starts to stop, and then bring it back out until it's idling smooth. But you got to do it while the bike's warmed up. So now let's move on to our accelerator pump, which are these three screws. And then we're almost done with the bottom of the carburetor. This is where 99.9% of the problems you're going to have. And I forgot to put the boot on for the accelerator pump. Not exciting. But that's okay. I could take it back apart, put the boot on. Bonehead that I am, but it happens. We all make mistakes. So let's do that. Let's take this off, the bowl back off, because we need to take the bowl off to do that. Well, let's take this off. Our spring. And then this is the diaphragm for the accelerated pump. So we're going to pop that out. We have a new one. Fuel injectors, so much easier. Just replace them. All right. Let me get this done and we'll get back to it. All right, got the accelerator pump off, as you just saw. But down here on the cap for it, there's these two O-rings. There's one. I'll put that over there. There's two. And be not afraid, because the kit gives you two new ones. So we're going to put one in there like that. And the second one goes in there like that. And it's a pretty snug fit, so you can hold it upside down, shake it, and they don't come out. Now, they give you a brand new diaphragm. Now, the lip goes down and it sits inside this lip. Then they give you a new spring. And it is easier to do it with the bowl not connected, because the accelerator pump rod is not pushing on it. And they're going to line up, these two O-rings are going to line up with these two holes. Just like that. I'm going to put the screws back to, we're going to give it the screws. And just like everything else, you want to start these by hand, because if you don't, then you take the risk of cross-threading the aluminum. And let me tell you, cross-threading aluminum is not a good thing to do. You're going to be buying a new carburetor. Then sometimes it might be better to buy a new carburetor like an S&S Super G or an upgrade to this bike. Wouldn't be a bad thing. So, you never know. Okay, the accelerator pump is put back together. I did remove the gasket from here, so I'm going to put that right back on. And the little rubber booty that I forgot, that goes right here for the accelerator pump rod, I call that. And just like before, we're going to pick this up just like this, and we're going to guide it through that boot and onto the carburetor. Oh, there we go. Whoop, nope. Come on. You can do it. You can do it! I got faith in you. What is going on? Come on, we can do this. Aren't carburetors fun? There we go. Helps if you line things up properly. There we go. So that's on. Now we're going to put our screws back. We're going to give it the screws again. Start again, starting them by hand. And I'm keeping a little bit of pressure on the float bowl. Words are real tough today. So now we're just going to go around, double check the tightness of all the screws. Because the last thing you want is a loose screw. Well, I have one, but not on my bike. Nor do I want one on this bike. Make sure everything's good and tight. All right. There is that. Now, they give you a new boot O-ring that goes on the intake manifold, which this part of the carburetor goes on over it. The intake manifold sits in that ring and it creates a good seal. And that's basically it we got for now. So we're going to put this back together, and then we're going to set the air idle mixture and all that fun stuff. So let me get this cleaned up, straightened up, and we'll get right back to it. Okay, crew, we're all set. We're ready to put our carburetor back on. First thing we want to do is put our seal on. And like I said, there's this groove on the inside. You want to get this onto the intake manifold just like that. Make sure it's fully seated all the way, because that creates the seal from your carburetor to your intake manifold. Next thing you want to do is grab your happy carburetor. Hello everybody, this is a happy carburetor. Why is it happy? Because it's nice and clean and ready to go. We're going to feed our choke cable down inside here, just like that. Make sure our fuel supply line is over there. Now we're going to grab our throttle cables. Remember, the one with the spring goes in the back. So we're going to put that on just like that. And now we're going to do this other one. And I'm going to try something here a little bit different than I normally do. So we're going to put this on here. Oh, let's try this one first. So we're going to put this one on. You're watching it live, guys, or unedited. There we go. Goes into there just like that. That one's set. Now the other one will just sit in here just like this. That was much easier, sort of. Sort of easier. Okay, come on. So close, but yet so far. There we go, right in there. Now we're going to take our vacuum. Now, if you're curious what this vacuum goes to, it goes to the VOS. Vacuum Operated Switch, that's what it stands for. All right, let me pull that choke cable through on the other side. We'll get this back together. Okay, that choke cable is fed through where it needs to be. And now what we're going to do is just wiggle this back on. All right, there. I'm going to put our fuel line back on. I make my life a little bit easier. I grab it with those special pliers that I have. Not squeezing it too hard, but just trying to get it started and on. And it's arguing with me. Why? Because I'm on camera, that's why. There we go. There we go. Make sure that's seated all the way down. Now we're going to tighten up the clamp. And before I go any further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the fuel on just to make sure that the carburetor does not overflow. And if it does, then I have to make a float adjustment under here. But also while we're here, we're going to plug in the overflow tube, which goes right inside. Oh, yeah, I like that. There we go. Just like that. Look at that. Isn't that purty? That is so purty. That is so special. So let's turn that on and make sure that we're not spewing any fuel out on the bottom. Okay, fuel is on. And believe it or not, we are not spewing fuel, so that's good. Which means we got the float set right. Let me turn that off and let's set the choke. Okay, so we're going to turn our fuel back off. I have that thing about leaving the fuel on. But choke cable I put up inside of here. And now what we want to do is just tighten this nut. And I'm using those silly pliers again. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Always got to pay attention. I wasn't paying attention. All right. This star washer goes on the back side. All right, so now we can tighten it up. Now I got the star washer in the right direction, or the right side of the bracket. So now when we pull on the choke, it stays out. It's a little too tight, so I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. Choke is set. All right, guys, so what's left is I got to put the air cleaner assembly back on it and adjust the cables. Other than that, we're done. So, hey guys, if you like this video, you'd like to see more videos like this in the garage, please click the like, the subscribe, and don't forget to bang that bell notification. This way you'll get notified every time I upload a video. Until the next time, I want you to live the best life you can. Ride often and always ride hard.
Like and subscribe.